Hey everyone, it's the 12th day of the Solstice Fast, and I'm feeling insanely sensitive right now. In a good way. I've got to the point where when I'm sitting in the quiet, I can feel my heartbeat like pounding into my body. I can feel the vibrations across my body, which feels amazing. It's quite annoying at times, but just the heightened level of sensitivity. I'm looking forward to having food again because the amount of pleasure I'm going to get in what I'm eating. The taste buds, when you've gone for a long time without food, they increase their sensitivity too. So you can end up having something that tastes quite mundane usually and notice a lot more flavors in it. The first time I came off a fast, I ended up eating some spinach. And I had initially bought it to add to a salad, but then I decided to eat some out of the bag because I didn't really have any other snacks. And as I tasted it, I noticed flavors in the spinach that I'd never noticed before, like salt. It has a salty flavor, it has a sweet flavor. There's so many different tones of flavor in there that I'd previously not been able to see. If anything, I thought that it might have had a slightly eggy taste, which is probably something to do with the sulfur content. But yeah, the flavors get so much more intense. It's a double edged sword though, because having heightened sensitivity means not only you'll feel more pleasure, but also more pain. So I don't see that as a bad thing either. I think that that's the point when it comes to healing. You need to feel pain for your body to know what areas need healing. And pain is a good motivator. That's what will motivate your body to heal itself. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing the results. My mind hasn't felt this clear in a long time. Everything now just feels like it's coming to me. It's things that would usually require a lot of thought and avoiding a lot of distraction too. Feels like it's so much more fluent now. Even when I've been doing things like the Duolingo app I use, the speed rounds, I'm able to recognize Japanese words a lot quicker than I have before. I've gotten further in the speed rounds than I ever have before. And it gets worse the more I do it because I end up thinking too much. And when you start thinking consciously at those points, you lose fluency. But the subconscious, when I'm first attempting it, before I get in my own head with thoughts, I'm having so much more success. And even my dreams have become more vivid. Last night I was dreaming about being with people. There was a guy who I haven't seen since I worked at Church of Rock, and we don't particularly get on in that way where we would be hanging out, but he was there in the dream, plus a few other people who I recognized but didn't uh, don't think that they actually exist. I don't think they're people that I've met, just people that I was aware of in the dream that I recognized. And I was drinking and smoking in the dream, which is quite interesting. It's almost like my body struggling to adapt to the new life that I chose. And they do say that your new life will cost you your old life. So this could be the old life desperately trying to send out messages, or even just my brain coming to terms with the choices that I've made. On the downside, I have had hiccups a few times today. I'm not sure what that's. I've got them now. I'm not sure what that's from. It could be that I'm not drinking enough water, or it could be that there's something going on inside, like some kind of cleansing. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but bearable. I've tried, upon having hiccups, drinking some water. At one point, drinking water made it worse. At another point, cleared it up. So I'm none the wiser. But I do think this was all part of the healing process. I'm also going to be listening to my body. So as much as I want this to be water fast from here on out to the end of the solstice fast, I'm going to listen to my body. I've got some apple juice in the freezer in the fridge. Don't want frozen apple juice. So I've got an apple ice lolly that I can lick. No. Um, the apple juice in the fridge, if I get to a point where I feel too weak or too low on energy, or I need a vitamin C boost or something to try and help me through any of the uh, purging of dead and damaged cells, then I'm going to do it because I will listen to my body above all else, above my ego telling me that you have to do this for whatever reason. There's none of that. You need to listen to your body. I'm still going to attempt to do the water fast to the end. That's the goal. I at least want to make it past 6 days. And my side hasn't been hurting as much as it has for the past couple of days, where I felt that there has been things going on, things that have um, made it kind of apparent that there's healing going on. Because otherwise, why would the area feel sensitive at all? I think that's probably the stage I've gotten to. My body's reached that sensitivity where I can now feel all things inside my body. Like I was able to feel my heartbeat earlier pulsating in my head. I could feel it in my teeth. It's even to the point where I'm feeling pains in one of my teeth in the corner occasionally. And I think that it was probably something that was already damaged, but I wasn't able to feel, as even though my diet is mainly fruit and nuts with a few other things thrown in, the other things thrown in do dull the senses quite a bit. And I see them as more things that you eat for fun rather than for nourishment. Like chips. The chips that I eat are very selective as well. I won't just eat chips from anywhere. Um, the Naked Chips store that's close to where my chiropractor is. So I end up going through, seeing the chips as a nice reward for healing or whatever mumbo jumbo I make up in my head. It's just quite clear. My mind wants chips. They're not that healthy for you, but they are about the healthiest of the chips that you can get. So I find it quite interesting, the mind gymnastics that you go through sometimes in order to get what you want rather than what you need. And I don't know if I'm done with chips altogether. I mean, they are a bit like a kryptonite. There's other things that I'm interested in still eating, even though they're not that great, like rice and stuff. Eating vegan sushi, which is just like avocado on top of rice, or cucumber maki, or even inari sushi, which I am aware has got extra layers of processing in. Occasionally, they'll throw in things to it like potassium sorbate that I really don't like, but I have eaten them on occasion because my diet is very much aligned enough that I can afford these kind of setbacks rather than feeling trapped into a certain way of life and then not able to experience the things I want to experience because my ego won't let me, because it's absolutely imperative that I stick to this path that I'm on. I think thinking like that sets you back in the long run, because eventually one day you will decide that you don't like this life and that you're going to abandon it altogether. I think that that would have happened to me had I not been so relaxed. A lot of the times when I've given things up, like giving up alcohol and giving up smoking, uh, cigarettes, like nicotine, the idea is that I haven't given up. I've just taken a break, and I keep putting it off and putting it off because I'm not that great at giving up on things, but I am very good at putting things off. I find that that's a skill that I was able to utilize. So I was able to put off having a cigarette to the point where I didn't even fancy it. And then it got to a point where I didn't even think about it anymore. Same with the alcohol. I've still got some alcohol in this flat. Didn't pour it down the sink. Didn't make a big dramatic show of quitting. Just decided I'm not going to drink now. Probably not going to drink later. Just put it off for a while, see how I feel. And now I feel so good that I worry that alcohol is just going to bring me down from how high I feel. It's, when you're sober, you can get really high naturally. And when you have alcohol, it's, well, I mean, the word alcohol is from the Arabic word al-kul, meaning body eating spirit. And that's a good reminder for me that the alcohol will start eating away at my spirit. And my spirits are high. I don't want that. I'd much rather relax on it. But I am missing food a lot at the moment. I'm seeing things like my peanut butter sitting around, or watching anime with my partner, seeing them eating onigiri or noodles in soy sauce. And I miss these things. I can remember what they taste like. I can imagine the flavors quite vividly. And I think that's what your body does when you stop having food for a while. Starts screaming out for just any food. A couple of days ago, I actually had a couple of meat cravings, which I haven't had in a long time. It was because I got the smell. And for me, I've made like conscious choices that I don't think I'll ever go back to eating meat. But one of the things I noticed that was appealing about it was the not having to worry about what you eat, not having to be so selective and careful about where you go. Just looking along the high street, just seeing all of these different places and what they offer, and realizing that you can have them. And life was a lot more easy when I was able to choose these things. But I don't think it's a restriction on me. I think I've got freedom. I could go choose these things tomorrow, go get the experience. But I'm aware that I wouldn't enjoy it. I wouldn't, looking at the whole picture, even if I was able to enjoy it in the moment, I definitely wouldn't enjoy it in the long run. So I'm definitely going to stay on this path for the time being. As for when I get to the end of the fast, I mean, I've toyed with the idea of giving up cannabis altogether, as now 12 days. It's probably my longest record of going without and not really missing it. But there will be times across Christmas spent with my mum and my partner who both smoke. It would be nice to be able to share in these moments with them. And I have got another fast coming up in February, which I can give up when I'm giving up for Lent. It'd be 46 days without. So I think at that point might be the point in which I give up altogether, and I can still enjoy it in the meantime. Not every day, just on a couple of occasions, because I don't want to be adding extra cost while I'm not working at the moment. So I feel that it would be a sensible move to not go back to smoking every day anyway. It's no matter what Snoop Dogg says, it's not the wisest decision to do any kind of um, mind expansion, plant medicine every day. Like even doing things like mushrooms, I think it's not necessary. You can achieve these things without, but if you're in a place where things are a bit dark and grisly and you're not likely to find a way of uh, reaching enlightenment in any sense, that can pull you out of it. Like the first time I tried mushrooms, I believe I was actually doing better than I had been, but I was still smoking a lot, drinking a lot, and occasionally doing other drugs with people that weren't so good for your body. And the mushrooms are like an eye opener. They get you to reflect on certain things about yourself that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see. The neurotransmitters, the psilocybin, I think, acts as a serotonin and is able to transmit information a lot quicker and a lot more frequent. Now, obviously, you don't need drugs to do this. Sobriety is the way. Like, then you have it almost 24/7 without the aid of anything from the outside. I don't think other than oxygen and vitamin C, ascorbic acid, I don't think there's anything else that you need from the outside. Everything else you can get from within. And oxygen is from the trees, and vitamin C is from fruits, which is from the trees. I think that's the balance of life. So I'm having a good fast, even though I miss things. I mean, a lot of people say to me that they don't understand how I could do this kind of thing. It's just kind of beyond them to imagine going without 3 meals a day. And when you're going with 0 meals a day and just drinking water, especially, like even I wasn't looking forward to the water. I had a 24-hour dry fast that I slipped in so that then the water was more appealing. This water doesn't seem like it's going to be all that fun until you dry fast for a while and feel that thirst and that dryness in your throat. Then all of a sudden your body's welcoming the water. I'm quite grateful for it, which I think was a good start to the fast. And I think if I can heal from the things that are wrong with my body just for a period like this, it's not a lot to sacrifice. Yeah, there's times when I'm laying there with my partner, she's eating some snacks. I could easily sit there with a tub of peanut butter and a spoon. And you miss some of those moments, but it's not a lot to sacrifice for good health. And I have sacrificed far more, like things that I was more drawn to. The alcohol had a bigger hold on me than most things. I was surprised at the level I got to with alcohol. It was to a point where every Christmas I would get, um, at first it was Bailey's Irish cream. Then when I decided to go vegan, it was a vegan kind of cream that I got at Marks and Spencer's that was very tasty, to be fair, and very powerful in terms of like getting you drunk quickly, making you feel that numbness in your face, which was one of the things that I found appealing about alcohol, sadly, being numb to everything. And it got to the point where I didn't like being conscious at any point. Waking up and going to work, I'd wake up, make coffee, add some of the Irish cream with basically it's got whiskey in it. So I was getting drunk before work, and then just having one coffee in the morning wasn't enough. I'd end up bringing a little vial of, or a little type of potion bottle shaped thing full of the Irish cream and adding that to a coffee in one of my breaks. and go out for a walk so that no one would be able to smell it. And I thought it didn't matter as long as I was pumping out the same amount of work, which it didn't impede my ability to work. Could have caused an accident though. I definitely wouldn't advise this for anyone. It's something that I did, not something that I would do again. And it's not really good to be unable to go without a drink for even just a few hours. I think once that sunk in, I realized that there was another way. And it's sad because a lot of the time it's because you don't like yourself or appreciate yourself at the time. But you're not going to appreciate yourself anymore by trying to get away from the situation all the time. It's just going to make you resent things even more, make you resent yourself. Because on top of all of that, then you have that voice in your head telling you you're just a worthless drunk. The amount of arguments I was having with my partner as I'd become a lot more desensitized to the things I was saying to her, to the things I was doing, not coming home until late, not even telling her that I was going to be late. Lots of negative vibes seem to follow you when you are out of balance. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't drink. Like, this is a world of free will. You've got the free will to go and experience whatever you want to. That's what the physical world's all about. And no one can tell you about your path. Your path is your path. If your path involves waking up and having a jug of wine every morning, that's your path. No one else can tell you that you're wrong. You're going through what you're going through because that's exactly what you need to go through. Now, I do think that if that's what you're going through, chances are you're on a learning experience and eventually you'll come to the realization that you don't need it. But that's for you to work out in your own time. No one can tell you that. Same as I needed to go through what I needed to go through. There's loads of previous times that I've seen people giving me warnings and messages, and I've not listened. You have to be ready. Can't do it before you're ready. And also, I've managed to get some Otex eardrops today, so I'm gonna put those in my ear tomorrow. Hopefully, see if it will clear up some of the wax. See if I can sort out some of the hearing problem that I have. As well, my body's feeling more sensitive, noticing a lot more the bassy sound that I get when I hear things. It's also oil pulling I'm going to try tomorrow. Got some sesame oil and some olive oil there. And with the tooth that probably has some kind of dirt caught in it, or whatever it is that's causing the pain, if I can get oil into the right place, just swishing it around in your mouth until it becomes a bit milky and spit it out. So shouldn't count towards calories or anything like that for a fast. I've still been chewing on cloves every now and then because I find that as a nice alternative to brushing your teeth, because I try not to brush every day in case I scrape off too much enamel. There's already a lot of damage there, and the cloves help bring about a good environment in your mouth. Yeah, the tomorrow is the 14th. It's going to be the first day of the full moon. As I see, the full moon usually lasts about 3 days. One day when it's almost full, another when it's full, and then one afterwards when it's just past full. There is actually an echo or a shadow of the energy leading up to and just after. So it's quite interesting. I think it's passing Gemini at the moment. It's about to move into Gemini, which is where Jupiter is. So it'll be the moon with a Jupiter retrograde. And Jupiter is the philosopher. So I imagine I'll be having a lot of deep thoughts and a lot of mind healing. And that should be entertaining. That would be quite a nice outcome from the fast. Might even be able to release the made for you video if Danielle gets a chance to have a look at it. As I got a response from her earlier, but she's been very busy with work recently. If that's ready, I'll put an announcement out tomorrow and I'll have it set to a certain time. It's very much about Saturn, so it'd be nice to have it out on a Saturn day. Uh, if not, it's no big deal. Just I like when things fall together in a certain way. I think it feels nicer, a bit like where I wear things with dark blue on a Friday. I've got light blue as well, but I mean, blue is still closer to it than another color. I don't find that it has to be every item of clothing that you wear. I just try and at least have one garment that matches what the energy of the day happens to be. Tomorrow, Saturday, it'd be something purple. It's like the way that these things seem to make me feel. It's a bit superstitious, really. There's nothing behind it other than, for me, it feels fun to do. Oh yeah, yesterday I mentioned about the Chinese Zodiac, and people see me stumbling through it, struggling to remember them. It's because I haven't learnt the Chinese Zodiac off by heart. It's not something that I've had too much experience with. Do love the story of the Jade Emperor and the race of the animals, and the way that the rat managed to convince the ox to let him ride in his ear, and then as they were near the end, the rat runs ahead and betrays the ox, gets him first. It's the rat that also allegedly betrayed the cat by not waking him up. So there are interesting things. I'm Year of the Rabbit. No, Rabbit is the fourth. And I tend to remember the Chinese zodiac by the Western zodiac because they've been syncretized together. Syncretism is the joining of two separate belief systems or um, a form of knowledge or wisdom that gets merged with another so that you would have the best of both or be inclusive of both. There's quite a few examples of this, but I think I'd need to have it laid out a lot better so it's easier to understand. But the way that they link up, at first I believed it was just very simple. The first sign Aries would link up with the first animal, the rat, and then the second, which is Taurus, would link up with the ox, the second animal. And this seemed obvious because ox and bull very close. But I think that it's interesting that it seems so easy because that's exactly what you'd think would be the case if you were to go for the left brain answer of the dissection. If you go for the right brain answer, which is looking at the whole picture, that's when you see that other things don't link up. And the way I think it links up is Aries is actually year of the dog, then Taurus would be year of the pig, the Gemini then being year of the rat, the Cancer then being the ox, and it gets to Leo being the tiger. So they're more of an obvious similarity. The other one's not so obvious, but there have been things that I've seen along the way to back it up. But Leo and the tiger, even though it's lion and tiger, so they are different animals. They are both somewhat seen as kings of the jungle, and they have a shared energy. Then you'd get Virgo with rabbit. Virgo representing the Virgin Mother, the virgins out in the field. This is the harvest time. This is a time when things are produced. Rabbits tend to go forth and multiply quite a lot, as people have heard the saying "bonking like rabbits." Rabbits symbolize new life. There's often rabbits in Easter associated with eggs, which never understood when I was younger. Makes a little bit more sense in the symbolism now. Rabbit with Virgo makes sense. The dragon with Libra is the scales, which links the two. Dragons have scales, the Libra is the scales. Then snake and scorpion that share an energy. Scorpion is more seen as the backstabber, but snake being also linked to the backstabbiness of convincing Eve to eat the apple, which is why Libra is the start of fall. It's called fall in America. It's autumn here, which I believe is AU representing gold and tomb. It's like the golden tomb. It's the time when you see a lot of the leaves on the trees turn golden and they die. So therefore the tomb. But the fall is a lot easier to understand, as after Eve ate the apple, then there was the fall of man. And Libra or L'Ivre is right next to Scorpio. So you could imagine that being the snake next to her whispering about you will not die. You will not surely die if you eat the apple. All of the trees should be available for you to eat from. Why would the tree be here if you didn't want you to eat from it? That kind of thing. So then you get Sagittarius with Year of the Horse. Kind of makes sense, both include a horse. You got the Sagittarius is to do with the body, the horse and the man. It's almost like saying you've got such good control over your body. You're like a horse rider that's so good at riding the horse, you can't tell where the man ends and the horse begins. Then the goat, which is also Year of the Sheep. The goat and the sheep, a lot of similarities. I've also heard it be called Year of the Goat. The climbing up the mountain, which is something you do if you're at the bottom, at the 6 o'clock position that Capricorn sits at, where you got the equator, Tropic of Capricorn, Tropic of Capricorn is the bottom, Tropic of Cancer is the top. So the goat is very good at building its way up from the bottom. A lot of Capricorns that I know have managed to build their way up from the bottom. It's not that they're afraid of putting in the hard work, even though they can be quite capricious and end up doing things which will set them back due to bad urge control and an arrogance that comes along with that. And then I'm one to talk, being an Aries, the sheep. The Aries and Capricorn always battling for number one spot. The Aries is the first sign. The Capricorn is the 10th sign. 1 plus 0 is 1. So battling for the number one spot. The start of the secular year, I believe, is January 1st, which is in Capricorn. The start of the financial year and the astrological year both happen in Aries around March or April. So you've got another battle there for number one spot. Um, After Capricorn being with Year of the Goat, then you've got Aquarius being with the Year of the Monkey. So Aquarius is representative of the man, the water bearer. The man and the monkey often linked. You've got the theory that men evolved from monkeys, which I don't believe. Is if we evolved from monkeys, then why are there still monkeys, and why haven't we seen any of the ones that are in between, like on your way from between man and monkey, like one of the other homos, the homos pre Homo erectus. So I haven't seen enough evidence on that. For me, that is still a theory, an amusing one, but a theory. Then you have the Monkey King, which is a good example of a man reaching mastery level, or a monkey even reaching mastery level, being able to ascend things. The Monkey King represents the sun, man represents the sun, woman, I think, represents the moon more, but I mean, all of us would represent the sun in one way, shape, or form, as we're all on the hero's journey or the fool's journey, which the sun is always present. The Pisces being linked with the rooster, year of the rooster, that's a bit of a confusing one because I don't see many links between them, but I do see the time of day in which Pisces would be is just before dawn. So just before it hits Aries, which is the arise, which is the waking up point, having the rooster there for the cock-a-doodle-doo in the morning to wake everyone does seem quite appropriate. But linking the rooster to the actual fish, I don't see the connection just yet. Then Aries with the year of the dog makes sense because it's the dog would also be of the wolf family. And if you ever heard of a wolf in sheep's clothing, so I can see the link in that one. I think also the back of a sheep is called, the back end of a sheep is called the dag, which is quite close to dog. Bit of a loose connection, maybe a coinky dink more than a link. Then there's the year of the pig with Taurus, which I don't see too much connection, but as the rest of them will fall into place quite well, consider this to be somewhat true. I mean, pig as in boar, a wild boar would be very strong, quite a force to be reckoned with. And the Taurus is represented with the bull due to the strength. It's at that point just after the 9 o'clock position. It would be the 10 o'clock position, starting to move up towards the sun being at its peak in the Tropic of Cancer. So the strength that would be needed to make your way up, a bit like the strength in the bull, would be the hardest worker of the animals in the farm, having the plough attached to it and going out to plough the fields. It's that being able to struggle your way uphill. So there could be more links between that and the wild boar. And Gemini with the rat. Rats tend to be, you rarely get just one rat. They tend to be a group of them. There's similarities in the way that they learn, but other than that, which I really shouldn't go into detail with without a bit more to show you to make it make sense. Other than that, can't see many connections. And then the Cancer with the year of the ox. The ox is the strongest of the animals, actually should have been the first animal, but the rat managed to sneakily make his way in there by being two-faced with the ox, hence the Gemini. It's another interesting link for the rat. But the ox would have been the strongest, so it makes sense for him to be at the top position where Cancer would be. Cancer, the crab, being at the top position because once the sun reaches the Tropic of Cancer, it can't go up anymore. All it can do is move sideways, just like the crab. In ancient Egypt, it used to be the scarab, as that scarab was like a dung beetle that would push its ball of dung up to the top of the hill, and that represented the scarab being at the top of the hill. And I think that it represents the ox in its finishing of the uphill struggle. That's the way I interpret them. This is actually incredibly hard information to find online. I've tried doing searches online for this kind of thing. A few times I've found some images that fit and have managed to find links through the website that the images come from that have a little bit to say on the matter. But a lot of them, they all rest on the original left brain idea that I had, that 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3 is 3. They won't see the bigger picture that there are ways that all of the animals would align. And I think that it's cool that there's levels to it like that, that this world is designed in such a way where it's not easy. It's not easy to be able to see the answers. And then one day, the penny drops, things click into place, and you feel that level of excitement because, oh my God, it was right there. It was right there in front of me, and I didn't see it. But now I do, and it makes so much sense. And those are the things that keep me going on this path. I really love that feeling. I love it when things start coming together like that. I enjoy talking about these things because things come mid-speech sometimes. Things come when I start researching and writing these things that I'd never thought of in the past. And it's like, it's so obvious. How could I have not seen it? It's because this game is very well designed. This simulation, or this real life that is better designed than any simulation. We are at 43 minutes here, so I'm going to end this video here. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more.